All right, welcome back to Tats and Gats podcast. We have a super special guest today. His name is Joe. We'll leave it at Joe, and we'll get into a little bit of why. Thanks so much for being here.
Of course.
We really appreciate it. This is our third episode, and as usual, this one is sponsored by...
RKB Tactical.
And what is that?
Just a clothing brand, lifestyle brand. Now gonna start training people. So
Cool.
Hopefully maybe Joe will come and help us.
Yeah.
Awesome. We did get to do some shooting with Joe recently. It was
yeah.
super fun. And also sponsored by Inked In Tools. If you're a tattoo artist, we do booking software and business management software stuff to help run your tattoo business. Right on. So first thing we're doing is a little tradition. Is the EDC pocket dump. So we'll do ours first, and then we'll see what you're carrying, or you can tell us what you normally carry. I'll go first this time since you're last. Okay, so starting with the firearm, I'm carrying, again, today, the Glock 19. The shield will make an appearance later. With a Holliston Red Dot and the Streamlight TLR H1 Light. It's a TRX Arms sidecar holster. I am carrying my flashlight this time, the Stiletto by Surefire. And, as usual, the pepper spray. I like having something besides just a gun and a knife. And there's the knife. And I haven't shown this before. Wallet. I always have some cash on me. I do think that's important. And my Costco business card.
Thank fuck.
Okay, for me, it is my Glock 45 in a tier 1 holster. Got a SRO optic, Mod Light. Also have another handheld Mod Light, Gerber knife. I also have the typical wallet, cell phone, kind of other stuff. I always carry this on me now.
You always wear multicam pants too?
Why do you run the soft tee and not like a cat?
Well, Joe's here. That's like camo pants.
Just wanted to show them off.
Yeah.
He's always a multicam. Is there a reason you carry a soft tee and not a cat?
It's just like the one that's always on me at all times.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if there's a preference for why a different platform.
Because I got it at a medical class one day and I just rolled with it.
But
I do train with both, so
yeah.
Because most people aren't familiar with that one. But I should go to the Cat 3 because.
Yeah, so actually, it was a dude that was taught, one of my past medics. He's big on the soft tees are a superior tourniquet, but less people know what they are. So I was like, that's actually a really good point. He's like, always put like the most like accessible tourniquet or the one that people see first or on your kit. Like this one's like right here. Yeah. It was always a cat, even though he was rigged out with soft tees. Like because even like the most random basic EMT on the streets, anyone that's medically inclined knows what a soft tee, knows what a cat is. But most, it doesn't usually go that way. They could be like, well, what the
what do I do?
Is that?
Yeah, I've actually never played with a soft tee. Yeah.
It's really, I mean, they're superior in like durability, functionality. They're just not as like, a cat's like the iPhone of tourniquets. Whereas like, it's like, maybe on Android, it's not as complex, but you just have to know what it is, but it's just not as prevalent. It's like very military. I love them. That's what I carry.
That was just for me, because I run into situations where like, oh, this fucking crackhead's over here messing with somebody. If I get stabbed or I gotta shoot him, I'm looking at like how far is my truck away with my actual med kit. So I just started carrying that.
Yeah, and I think if it's just if it's not like it's such a small. It's like one of those things like, like this, like fuck. Oh, but here's what I've got.
Yeah.
I don't even want it. God damn it. I've got my recycled firefighter wallet, made in America. Retired firefighter, Indiana or Iowa, where the guy's at. I do put my name and number on there. That's kind of a small thing. And then I've got my trusty cold steel Warncliffe blade. Just due to my current CCW license, I can't carry in this location. But
if you were to carry, what is your go-to carry firearm?
Glock 45.
Yay.
With the X300. Depending if it's summertime, I usually pull off the 300 and just run it slick with the Ameriglow single dot tritium sights. The rears are blacked out, suppressor height, and then right now I've got a 509T on it. Hello, son.
Nice.
So you're switching to the Acro P2 eventually, but
really,
that's the one we've been shooting at the pad since I got back.
Yep.
Yeah. But if not, I actually, it kind of sounds crazy, but the most convenient gun for me, the most comfortable thing to carry is the Smith & Wesson 442, this little snub nose 38 special.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm a big proponent of it because it kind of like, no matter what, even if I'm wearing like some, booty short, like some short beach shorts, if I cinch the waistband down, throwing it in there, I can always, like, it's so light and the pull's so smooth on it with that little holster.
Is that the one with the aluminum frame that's super lightweight?
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, the Airweight, sorry, the 442 Airweight.
Little Saturday Night Special.
Yeah, I got my buddy, a good friend of mine, my best friends, his brother got all three of us the same pistol a few years back as like a little like bro gift.
Nice.
And
me ago.
I'm working on it.
I love it, but yeah, no gat on me today.
Awesome.
Fortunately,
That's super cool.
So yeah, tell us, now that we know what you carry on you, who you are, as much as you can, a little bio, background, a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, Joe. But I guess the way of shit that led me to meeting Lee here was like, I started out when I was 17. I joined. I didn't know shit. I was like, the Marines looks cool. Kind of was like, I like working out, kind of like running, and I didn't really know anything. I was kind of an idiot, to be honest. And it seemed like, I was like, oh, this seems like a cool route. A buddy of mine, his dad was like a 20-year Marine, artillery guy, and he's like, dude, you should do it. Of course. And I was like, all right, fuck it. He's like, I'll fucking set you up, and we'll send you down the road. So I did it, and I go talk to the dude, and he sets me up with the infantry contract. This guy actually hooked me up, got me infantry contract off the beginning, a little bonus. And I didn't literally do any research, showed up, did the whole process, and I did that for 3.5, 4 years here in California.
Okay.
Went to San Diego or Camp Pendleton, and then I was kind of like, fuck, this is fun. I really enjoyed it, but I kind of went that next like, I really don't like all the kind of Marine Corps circus kind of stuff, and I really like the job, I like the environment, I like the people, I like the whole like culture aspect of it. I kind of wanted that next little bite. I was like, fuck, I want something. So then me and the guy just talked about the Airweight dude. We were on our second deployment. We were like, fuck it, dude. I saw some MARSOC guys like at our camp. I was like, I need to do that.
You're like, that's it.
Yeah, they were like wearing whatever they wanted, and I was like, that is what I want to do. So I went and talked to them, and they gave me the number to a recruiter, or so, I think so. One of the guys in Camp Pendleton back stateside, and we sent him a message, an email. And he was like, oh yeah, we'll set you guys up. So then at year 3, I went over and went to selection. Then kind of did that, and did that till I got out. So I was an operator at MARSOC and loved it, but just kind of decided to transition to the civilian world, and now I do defense contracting.
Nice. Yeah. What was that process like, going through selection, getting from just your infantry Marine to the more special forces side of things?
Yeah, that's probably the most common questions I get, especially from like dudes that want to do it. And it's really hard to answer because it's like so wildly like left or right depending on some people. I think it depends where your head's at. Like a lot of people want it and make it through, and it was way harder for some people that wanted it and made it through. It's like, where was your initial level of training at and your desire to do to have that line of work beforehand? And for me, there was obviously very challenging parts, but I was kind of so invested in the process and just loved that job so much initially. Like, I still do. Initially, I just kind of like, I was just like, I don't care what happens or what goes on. Like, I just know that I want to be on a team, and I want to have that, I want to have that job title, that badge that I don't really care. Yeah. So it seemed pretty, I like doing all those things, and I just kind of left my room. I was like, there's no other option. I will pass, and I will, if I don't, I'm fucked, because I'm like, my time's done. I'm about to figure something out, or, become a civilian. So I just went through that initially, and it went well for me and my buddy, and we're like, oh damn. Well, I guess we're going on to the whole thing, and it's about 2 years from your initial start date to if you make it out with no injuries or any setbacks to when you pop out the other end. So
that's a long time.
A brand new boot operator.
I think that's a mindset you have to have for any difficult thing you want to do.
Of course,
You have to go and do it. I know it's not even close to the same, but for my apprenticeship to be a tattoo artist, it's grueling, it's hard, right? A lot of people don't make it through that process. In my mind, it was like, literally, you'll have to kill me, and if you didn't kill me today, I will see you tomorrow.
That's one thing I think that people can confuse. Like, no, it's like it's where your brain's at for your line of work. So it's like, there's no way in hell I could fucking even begin to like put a tattoo. I was like, no fucking way. Where I'm like, no, I couldn't. But it's like where your mind's at for your line of work. If you're committed to the next step, then I think
nothing,
barring injury or like shit like that, if you want it, then usually it happens. And it's so specific because I think the special operations world is kind of like put on a pedestal, and there's a lot of good and a lot of hard guys, sometimes more so than I think it deserves, because it's very specific. It's like you have to have someone that's young enough to do it. They have to be in good shape enough. They have to be in the position. They have to have the job to make them. Some people don't, but like to make them successful there. So I'm like, it's really hard to. It's like, oh well, you could have fucking done it. I'm like, well, it's not like that. It's
right.
Very like there's a very tight channel that leads people to do it, and I think that applies to all like specialty lines of work, or even someone's just out there grinding and doing whatever they do. I feel like it's
100%.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. That's kind of where I'm.
No, you have to have that balance. I mean, to find the right candidate for the right job, no matter what the job is, it's hard to find someone that checks off all of those boxes. I just went on a ride along with a client of mine who's in law enforcement, and just talking about what it takes to find a qualified candidate, someone that is willing to be aggressive, have some life skills, life experience, know how to deal with a crackhead, all these things, but is also not totally insane and can be respectable and polite. And it's like, how do you find that person who's like, can walk both of us? So I imagine with something like Special Forces, finding someone qualified to make it through selection, to make it to the actual job, like it's a very small percentage of people that could even be qualified to do it.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of it's just that number. It's like I'm not like degrading a lot of the guys that are like my work ethic. I'm like, but pure. Some of it's just pure like, hey, you played the right cards and you were had the right shoes to fill, and you just kind of step through the process. And you're like, oh well, anyone can really do it. You just have to find yourself there. I think. And then when you give them the opportunity, obviously you have to act. And if you don't, then you're kind of a bitch. But
yeah, opportunity is only that, right? It's an opening for you to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I try to apply to everything. I think some people kind of get caught up in applying. It's like, oh, well, you didn't, what's the word, gatekeeping kind of thing. It's like, is it really though? Like you're not in their shoes. Imagine if you got like if you just woke up and now you're working a different, civilian sector type job. Like, could you handle it? Like, I know I couldn't. Like I'm working the industry I do because that's kind of the only thing I know how to do. It's like, or you could try to integrate into their thing. I wouldn't be making enough money, or I would be, that guy. It's like a new dude. So you kind of get that reality check. You're like, oh, okay, it's not, you're not all there is to be. It's like there's, much more than you and like your line of work that exists to make the whole system work.
And you don't want to be bored.
Yeah.
Like, especially going from like where you're at to like what are you gonna do, like ride an office, like
no, dude. I couldn't do it. No way. I'll start tattooing. I'll pick that up.
There you go.
Well, speaking of gatekeeping and that, there's a lot of this new generation gets so mad at the people that have gone through traditional apprenticeships and worked to get it. They're like, well, I shouldn't have to do that, and you're just gatekeeping. And it's like, I sacrificed 2 years of my life to just get to a position to be able to learn to do this thing, and now you just want it handed to you. Like,
well, I saw the video you posted.
So good.
Was it someone was like fucking around in skin?
Yeah.
Skin, and you're like, I'm not like, hey, everyone relax. That's the first thing I saw. After we hung out and I followed you on Instagram. I was like, shit, I didn't know people were not that mad about it. I thought it was just like
it's so fun.
It's the internet. They're gonna always be mad about something.
Damn it.
I love just going to his comments and just rattling stuff up. It's my favorite.
God. I went back there. I was like, fuck. I was like, I didn't think. I was like, wait, what's the problem with the video?
Right.
I was like, this makes sense to me. And then I saw the other one. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, like fuck.
I just read a comment on that one. Someone just posted like, they had started an apprenticeship, they dropped out, like, I was better off teaching myself, blah, blah. Like, okay, cool. And I click on their profile and look at their work, and I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
Good luck with
Fuck,
that.
dude. Yeah.
Anyway, I won't talk too much trash.
No, fuck it.
Yeah.
What do you think about the name then?
Oh yeah.
I dig the logo. Actually, just now, I didn't thought it was too.
There you go.
I dig it. It's straight to the point. I think it's a little. Fuck, look at the camera.
That was on me.
No, I like it. It fits the bill.
It's like a terrible name.
Terrible name.
But we couldn't think of anything that combined those two.
I thought I was like, what would I do? I was like, well, I can't think of literally a single name.
We're trying. We're like, because it's like tattoo realm, gun realm, and anything in between, and there's so much like it crosses over because a lot of tattoo guys are gun dudes.
Inkin' and Plinkin' was like the closest.
Yeah, like redneck.
That's worse.
Yeah. Fuck no. Okay, so thank God.
We'll lean into it. We'll go tats and gats.
I would send it because then you just maybe it's a little abrasive up front, but
And then we looked and we're like, dude, nobody has this. We're like, all right, all in, let's go.
Yeah.
how did that process look for like feeling out the?
It just kind of went like, hey man, do you want to do a podcast? And it was like, yeah. And then our producer Levi was like, hey, I live down the street from the shop. And we're like, I guess it's happening, and it happened, and it's happening right now.
When you told me, I was
quick.
like,
It was just
podcast. I'm like, I've never even thought about. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I listen to podcasts all the time.
Yeah.
I was like, what podcast? Like mine. I was like,
You're like, what do you mean?
fucking
That's what you
weird.
did.
Yeah, I was like, all right,
I
let's
do
do
it
it.
now. Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
I dig it. I think it's cool as hell. And honestly, like coming in that damn door was like,
It's wild, huh?
Jesus fuck.
Yeah, there you go.
Like it's a fucking podcast you're asking me. Like, hell yeah! Like it beats some of the. I saw some, teach their own. Everyone starts somewhere, but there was like some bunk ones. I'm like, especially nowadays with the advent, like podcasts are so popular. It's like you gotta have some out the gate good material, or else you're not gonna.
I think we're coming out the gate with some heavy hitters.
We're trying. We're gonna get better.
Yeah.
Do you have any tattoos?
I think I have. I was counting on the way here. I think I have 15 or 16.
No way.
But just none of them are visible.
I would never
That's
guess.
right.
Yeah. Would you remember your? Well, obviously you remember. What was your first tattoo?
It was the state I was born in.
Okay.
There you go.
I regret it to this day, but I'm still glad it's there because then I can never go back. But I did it in Oceanside when I was right before I turned 18, or maybe it had to have been when I was 18. Right? You can't do that.
In California you have to be 18.
Yeah, no. So yeah, it was right when I turned 18, like a week or two after.
Unless you know a guy in the garage.
No, it was down in Oceanside. I was like, I was so new. I was like, I'm gonna get my state tattooed on my ribs. So I did that. And I was
Just starting out with the rib tattoos?
I know, it was just an outline, one of the standard, white girl who cut her tattoos, and like, god damn it, what was I thinking? No one stopped me. None of my friends said anything like, do it, bro. I'm like,
Yeah, of course.
no, come on. I'm like, no, why?
So you went to a shop, walk in.
Yeah, I was like, hey, I didn't know dick. I was like, I probably rude and naive to the customs of tattoo. I was like, hey, can I get this? And he said, what do you want? I'm like, pulled up on my phone. He's like, that's it. I was like, yeah. He's like, all right, well, give me a half hour, and then went back there. And I was like, and that was it. That was it for like 7 years, I think. That's the only tattoo I had. Maybe 5 years, maybe.
Right.
And that's where it started.
I would assume like your free time to be able to get tattooed and doing what you did, like the healing process wouldn't be gnarly if you were to get like a big
A lot of guys just didn't give a shit. I just honestly never thought it. I was like, my brother is pretty heavily tattooed. He's got a lot of work done. And he was always pushing me to do it, my younger brother. And he was super big into it, still is. And he was always like, Joey, come on. It's right up your alley. I was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, I can't think. I want some. But I was like, I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
So I was just stuck in that, like, I don't know, and kind of like not nervous about it, but like, well, I don't know what to put on me then.
Smart.
And then you get to the point where you're just like,
And then I just started going hog wild with it, and now I'm itching.
you're like, damn.
Well, we know some people. What about your first firearm purchase? Well, you said you joined the Marines when you were 17, 18?
Yeah, 17.
Okay, so probably your first firearm was in the military?
I had, the first firearm I owned, my mom got me it was a 22, little Mossberg 702 Plankster.
Nice.
Little magazine, just like, she got it for me probably 13. Up to that point, I hadn't really shot very much. I had new guns and like shot pistols and just kind of fucked around. I had that. My older brother had a Mosin, so that was like my firearms knowledge. I shot a bunch of guns, and then I bought my first gun that I bought, me, Joe, was a Glock 17.
Nice.
It's a standard, and I was like, fuck yeah. So.
Were you into guns, like as far as like training and tactics and all the cool, fun stuff? Did that come, were you into that stuff before joining the Marines, or did that kind of develop as you developed in that career?
I love guns. I love shooting them. Went out shooting a bunch of friends and I didn't know anything. I didn't know shit. I was just literally taking the Mosin at 22 out, and we would just, put a piece of cardboard against a tree. I don't know if you can't shoot trees, but we would do that and just kind of fuck off and shoot rabbits with the 22s on our buddy's ranch and just kind of like mess around. There wasn't really not too much. There was zero training in that regard. Shot up pistols. But once I joined, I knew I loved guns. I was like, I love that kind of like idea of just shooting shit. And it kind of developed, and I started getting more into like learning what the whole tactical environment was like, and kind of like really, by design and obviously the line of work, just falling in love with that maneuver warfare, kind of like, I found what I was created to do. I love this.
Yeah.
So I just kind of like started doing more, especially more training on the side, civilian type stuff, and that's what led me to. It's like, I need a pistol. I have a little 22, and I need a pistol. And then it kind of just kept building from there.
That's awesome. Outside of the military, what was your first like firearms class that you took?
I've never done a single civilian side class. So. No, the only thing remote would be my CCW license was...
Which is like a joke.
Yeah, so that was it. I wouldn't necessarily,
Do you have a pulse? Can you pull a trigger? Yeah.
Yeah, what color is that flag? Like red, blue... Alright, it's like... okay. That's it. No, my entire experience was like just personal training, watching YouTube, and then, my stuff at work, and that's kind of...
Okay. Which is, your work is like,
Yeah, so, I'm very grateful for that experience to be able to have that level of training and training opportunity to just kind of, if you love it and you're really going to learn a ton, you can really capitalize on the opportunity given. I was couldn't have asked for a better opportunity to learn and be into that, especially it lines up to like, I didn't know I loved guns this much. Like, holy shit. And then
just keeps getting deeper.
Just kept building. The right friends, my closest friends, best friends, were all into it.
Yeah.
There's some guys that join or like the job and just want to serve the country, and they kind of move on. Like the homies I had were just like, just so into it, and like it was all we did. Just watching videos and going to work and training, and just you're working out. That's all we want to do is just work out and kind of fuck off. And so obviously a lot of stupid stuff involved in there, and maybe not so good decisions, but it made it really easy to get into when your roommate or the guy you live with is like, well, we're training tomorrow, it's our weekend, like we just trained all week, but fuck it, let's go again. Let's go. So that really did help and like really make it grow, is being around those people and you're like, well, I don't want someone to beat me, better. That kind of really pushed it.
One thing I wanted to touch on, I shot with you once, and Lee's shot with you a few times. It was so interesting to see, coming from civilian classes, flat range stuff.
Yeah.
I think you know where I'm going to go with this. That watching you train, your attention to detail and the intention that you put into the stuff that you do is like really impressive, because I'm so used to taking a class, doing a drill, and it's a bill drill. You just 6 rounds, holster, like without thought into a lot of the why or the actions you do before and after. When you do a drill, you are constantly thinking about real life scenarios, because that's your line of work. Getting off the X, retrieving a magazine in a fashion where you're staying engaged. You're not as focused on like the speed, like just getting the fastest splits I possibly can. Mm-hmm. You're looking at how does this actually apply to real life scenarios, and it's just so cool to see. What are some of your thoughts on like that kind of divide between the more professional training that you do with your profession, and then like the civilian side of classes?
I think that's one thing that gets confused the most, and we talk about it. We put my blast, hey, he's like, is he ever gonna say anything nice? Like, fuck you, you know. But
I like that. I need that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's not that I disagree with the civilian training. It's just that, you know, again, it goes back to like, this is what I've learned, and you're lucky enough to be able to have the opportunity to train at a high level.
Yeah.
So you understand it. I think it's like, okay, take a step back and look at that. It's like, do I think it's right? No, but anything's better than nothing. But I do try to, not that I ever want to like make myself appear better, but just to pass on that training, especially to people that love it and enjoy it. And that's how kind of we got into it. It's like, if I see someone that wants to be good, I'm like, all right, then I'm going to just, you know, put that effort in there, because maybe they want to have the opportunity and they just, due to their career, weren't able to. So I don't really think it's necessarily bad. I think there's like some cringe culture that goes behind it that I do disagree with, and like I'm not focusing on what's important, but ultimately I don't like to like get too into trash talking it, because like, well, it's better than nothing, you know.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it gets caught up in looks and appeal rather than training and where people's minds are at. That's why I always try to like, it's not about speed, it's not about like how good you look, it's about where your mind's at while you're doing it, and be a constant professional while you're doing it. And it's like, you know, nothing's being dealt with like inappropriately, and I'm not distracting myself and my mindset while I'm doing these things. And whenever you send me videos, I hope you start sending some too. I'll start telling you. But it's like it's kind of like a conversation. My friend that was just an infantry guy with me, who's one of the better shooters I've known, especially with that mentality. We'll have like long dialogues. He'll send me a video, and nothing in the video is about shooting. It's like, I know you're a good shot, and we kind of just go into that like, you know, very minute detail and break it down, like why you did something, where you can make it better, and kind of like the mindset and the structure behind what you're doing, rather than, you know, the very specific, you know, detailed just shooting and like just guns. Like, you can master a gun. Like, I have my setup. I don't really want to go, as technology advances, yes, you have to make improvements, but like, I think establishing that in your head was more important than a lot of the smaller stuff I see the civilian world get into, which is, you know, has to, because of the market and industry. You kind of have to go that way, which is like, again, it's like, well, it's better than nothing. So that's where I kind of see it, and that's kind of what I try to impose on other people.
It shows, man, that like professionalism. Like I've shot with a lot of people, and like, no bullshit, never like. It's just something different. You're like,
without shooting recently,
like watching is like, okay, like this is someone that is a professional that gets paid to do this. You
done
know?
it. Done it. So you gotta always just.
We're gonna take a quick pause break to reset the cameras. Okay, we're back. Reset the cameras. We have a few questions we wanted to get to. What you got?
In your entire military career, what was you experienced anything unsafe? Like an
a litany. I mean, just like, the list goes on, which is sad. I'm like,
what's the gnarliest thing you said?
Gnarliest thing?
Without giving
with a firearm. Some Indian, they're in the pipeline. I would say there was one dude next to me. He was like, he made it, you know, he'd gone through selection, he made it quite a ways, and eventually just lost his cool, and then rattle off a round just right in front of us. It was so benign. We're like, shit. 2 days later, another dude, same thing, was clearing his pistol out, and we're like, well, that's 2 guys gone like that. Like,
are they immediately done in that?
Oh yeah. If you get to that portion, if there's any negligent discharge, you're immediately pulled from the process.
So like, one little slip.
Which I mean, it makes sense. Those were like really, I mean, kind of just the gravity behind them. You're like, well, wow, that is, they're fucked. You know, like their time's done. There was a buddy of mine that had talked about, there was like a Marine units do Muse a lot, where it's like a Marine expedition unit where they go out on a ship and you're kind of just like a force of readiness. It was like an infantry battalion, an air wing, and all the engineers and support. My buddy was on the ship and he was training with his guys. I wasn't there, but he firsthand told me the story, the guy that I went through the whole pipeline with. And they had been shooting the day before on the ship, and they get up and there were platoons out there just doing dry practice, just doing some like reload drills and kind of just, you know, fucking around for the afternoon, just doing their platoon training. And they go to do a drill, and some round had made it. It had not made its way. Had never left this guy's mag prior to training. They didn't check it. And you're like, it seems real until it happens. Lets a green tip fly with his boys. And
okay, so this was a pistol.
Oh no! Yeah, this is a AM4. This thing just whistles off, and they're up at like a flat deck part of the ship. Like a higher. It was a smaller ship, so they were like up. They weren't like on the deck, they were up higher on like a little perch kind of thing, a small little area. And it went through a wall, not wall, what do you call it, a bulkhead? Yeah, it went through a bulkhead, goes through, and then hits like a water pipe.
Oh my God.
Hits a water pipe, and starts fucking leaking and shit, ends up fucking up one of the radars and one of the communication systems for a few days, huge flood.
Wow.
All from this dude's just...
What happened to that guy?
Yeah. To be honest, I don't know. I think he got in trouble. I fucking hope he did. I honestly don't remember his name or knew any details about him. I don't know what happened to him. I'm assuming he got...
If you're listening, shout out, let us know what happened.
Yeah. I know he got fucked by his boys. That kind of sounds fucked up.
They probably made it worse.
Yeah, they probably made his life hell for a little bit. And
his new name's like Water Pipe.
He probably tarnished the rep for his views for the rest of that trip.
Damn.
Oh, God. I can only imagine what
the fuck did you do to my ship?
I was like, the only thing that could be worse than that is if he had hit a person. Like he was like one step below hitting a person.
Yeah, there's another guy on a deployment. And most of it's just like mundane shit. You're like, what the? And it's usually an idiot that does it. 9 times out of 10, you're shooting through computers or. There's been some interesting misfire stuff that have been like, oh my God, that was fucking close. The guy, a friend of mine that had an APOB, or APOBs, which is like a little backpack, like mine clear. It's like this big, and it shoots a little rocket that has a bunch of basically like frag grenades tied to it, a string, and it goes out, lands, and then detonates. It's like a mine clearing line charge.
Okay.
And one went off next to his head. Somehow, I don't know what had happened or what the process was, but I was not at the range at the time, and the rocket went off, and just so happened to hit his ops core, took it off, knocked him out, threw him down, and they're like, the system went off, it continued on, and they're like, holy shit. I don't know what the reason, I never knew why it happened. That was probably the most gnarly. It could have been negligent, I'm not sure.
So what today by an ops core,
Yeah, shout out to OpsCore.
Yeah, holy fuck. He wasn't, his chin strap wasn't buckled, and it just grabbed it and took it like it just hit him. I don't know, it was like somewhere on the side, back portion, just popped it off.
That's wild.
You're like, holy hell.
Wow.
That saved your ass. And no one else had helmets on. He just happened to pop his strap and was just chilling.
Wow.
Got rocked. There's a lot more details in the story, but sure, it's probably the most.
Speaking of helmets, bump in the night, what's your go-to grab and go situation? You putting on the nods?
Bump of the night. Well, I live in a small condo, kind of such a little pad, so I probably wouldn't be grabbing my nods. I keep it pretty well lit. I've got my snub nose and my Glock 17 right by the bed, so I'm going straight to those. But if I have a little bit of time to prepare in my little kit room, I've got all my weapons. I keep my my Block 2 build, 14.5 Colt SOCOM heavy barrel, RIS-2 rail, SOCOM Mini 2, Purse 3, Zenitco grip, and then NX818 with the Geisley mount, Reptila ROF 90 with the aim point T2. Geisley trigger, that's what's always loaded and sitting there with the bandolier.
Yeah.
My plate carrier, I'm grabbing that. If I have any amount of time, I'm grabbing that, going to my truck. That would be my go-to.
I guess.
If I had time for knots, obviously grabbing my katanas. I'll grab them, but that's the gun I kind of keep primed with the plate carrier and the bandoliers off to the side, and that's, grabbing that after a pistol. If there's anything happening, I'm not wasting any time doing anything other than grabbing my pistol and taking as much time to process what's going on. It's kind of.
I have a question that's not on here that I'm just thinking of right now. Some professionals have opinions about civilians owning kit and night vision helmets and stuff. How do you feel about civilians having professional?
I mean, I'm a civilian now, so I have literally no issues, neither before at all. I think there's. So I look at it the same way as like, I like to ride my dirt bike, go skydive, or like things like that, or other hobbies, and those professionals don't have an issue with me doing their. It's like it's welcomed. It's the same. I view it as the same thing. It's just you're choosing to make a hobby, and it's not really. I mean, it's just you're protecting yourself and your family. You're also doing something that I think it's like respectable to do, to train and improve your body and your mind rather than wasting it on something else. I have nothing against that whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think I have something against people not respecting like certain professions and line of work. That like if there was no respect towards that, just like I would give that speaking to someone that was professional in their own regard. Then I think that's a different realm. But no issues at all.
Yeah.
I think people that do shit talk on it are just the standard gatekeeper kind of like it's like why you're not doing it's no one's hurting you. It's like why. What are you benefiting out of doing this? Like who cares?
Yeah.
The bro that's called LARPing or just LARPing.
I mean, there's an aspect to it where it is fun. It is a hobby, and it also just serves an additional purpose of being prepared should a need for that ever comes up. But like, I don't lie about it. Like when my wife's like, oh, like how I was shooting, like how I was training, I was like, it was fun. I do enjoy it, but there is a deeper purpose to it,
Yeah, it makes you a better, more functional person. Just like delving in any hobby, I think does that. Yeah. But I think shooting's a little different, and it also kind of gives you something to default to if things ever do go bad, which I don't think are going to happen, but you kind of have that backup. And I think it kind of induces some stress levels and some like decision making that you typically, with high level training, if you're actually out there training, not just kind of fucking around. I think
shout out to all the trash mag dumpers.
Yeah, all the mag dumpers get the hell out of here. I think that's where it really comes in. I was talking to I keep referring to my friends, but we were having a conversation. I just got done working out and we just hopped on the phone. I was like, you're training. I don't necessarily, when I'm shooting, I'm not necessarily always training just to like for shooting. Like applying that like decision making and thinking about what's going on around me to like any kind of scenario, because most likely I'm not going to run into somebody and have to square off with them and pull my Glock or like stitch somebody up with my M4, like run around a corner. It's like that's probably not going to happen. But dealing with stress and dealing with like kind of complex scenarios, where to think real quick and make something that's like self-preservation, but also positive action. I think it kind of highlights those things more than some other hobbies do, which I kind of like. I'm training for like random scenarios. You're having like just like split over a wall or like go out this window. I'm like, maybe shooting is kind of helping like deal with some of that stress and those quick decisions. That's
what I kind of business too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Making a podcast.
You touched on it, like Joe's level of professionalism that he carries. I remember when I first met him. It was funny too because I was at the range. I was like, "What am I doing?" Shout out to Bontoli,
Yeah.
Over at the old Corona range where I used to shoot at. But like my first impression of them, they're rolling up like in like the back of a truck, rolling up like bumping 80s music. Like they rolled up. Everyone's like, "Oh, these guys are always late," but they were skydiving right before that. So they come, hop off the plane and they come to the range and they're just like that life, like about that life.
That's what we kind of. Because a lot of those dudes were kind of just chilling.
They were just like
trying to train. They would just like kind of give us beers after the range.
Like, I was like, I don't want to drink or shoot, but then I saw them and I was just like, man, like say if you guys were shooting and you had a shitty day, like, go run the fucking hill. They go punish themselves.
Yeah,
and that always stuck with me with just trying to be better. And then y'all got transferred out, and I was all alone. I was sad and crying by myself. And then the range got shut down, and then. I just kind of took it upon myself to start training and try to get better because I didn't have anybody guiding me, so it was a whole lot of rebuying, retraining, like.
Yeah, I thought it was wild. I was like, because you're one of the two people, you and like one other dude, and you're the only one that really stuck around. Like now you're doing that, like shit. But yeah, it's kind of like, I want to train. Like we're fucking here to train, brother. We're not fucking around. Like we're like. The train all week, like we're here, we are fucking around. We're never not fucking around, but like I'm here to get better, and like I love shooting. And he's like, what's here you got to say? I'm like, oh shit. It's like these guys like, oh okay, yeah, that's too much for me. For like, just like getting after it, and kept going, and then
that's always stuck with me. Just like the level of like where you guys were at, I was like, I want to be like that good one day.
Then I think it was. Did you know I was back in California or?
No, I think we just kept in touch on Signal. Just.
And then I found out, I was like, whoa, holy shit! Like,
yeah, I was like, hey,
this really developed.
Am I good enough to hang now?
Yeah, I was like, well, I'm back. Like, when I go to the rig, and she's like, holy fuck! Like, this really like. Yeah, like, damn, that really. When you see when you apply yourself in training, like, well, you're fucking faster than me. Like, like, not that I'm a metric of speed, but. Yeah, you're like, damn, this is 180 degrees from what I had experienced when the first time we had shot. It's been years that have passed, and fucking nods and all this like high-end kit and training to go along with it. Not just the kit, but
that was like my biggest thing. I was like, damn, I was like, these dudes are rocking like the same stuff we're rocking. You know what I mean? Like Glock 45s, like Spiritus gear. And I was like, dang, I was like, that's cool. I didn't even know. I had no idea that like your community, like that's what you guys did versus like. Your lower like issued infantry dudes. Like,
yeah, it's like I think were you saying it's better or worse?
No, like the gear's better. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? And I was like, holy cow! I was like, we have like a lot of similar stuff. And you were like, oh, we'll change this. Drop this mag. Put a TQ thing there. So cool little quirks and like fixes. But I was like, wow, I'm pretty similar like gear wise. I was like really surprised.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I think people take. They always assume there's like some crazy level of shit going on. It's like there really isn't. It's like there's some different tech that you're gonna carry and different radios and some very mission specific type items you'll strap on or throw on your back.
But not saying that like our gear is cheap. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah, no, it's like this is just there's not some crazy solution to this. It's like being like this like. Holistic kind of professional, and people kind of get lost in like the very like technical aspect of it rather than kind of the mindset, which seems so cliche to say again and again and again. But I think it kind of gets forgot because you're like, well, I'm not really using any crazy shit.
Yeah.
There is some guys that do, and there is some like things that are tested, and that's kind of where innovation comes from. But by and large, 90% of it's just.
There's only so many ways to hold a plate to your body and mags on that plate carrier.
Until it's getting lighter and smaller, it's like nothing is really going crazy. And I think that's where this whole speed thing gets caught up and it kind of detracts from the real purpose of it is those kind of, which again, it's hard to show because there are a lot of fuck ups eventually produce a innovation or
pushing those boundaries. But
no,
that was like one big thing. Like when you came back from start training again, it was like, all right, slow down, have a more of a combat mindset. You say, instead of just, I have a horrible problem. You mentioned that reholstering really quick. Like, a fast, accurate shooter now, but it's like the combat mindset. Like, I'm trying to slow down in that realm, like do all the non-shooting shit or slower. You know what I mean? Because I can shoot good, I can shoot fast now. Before I couldn't, when I met, I was like, oh my god, I'm an idiot. Like, who's this fucking guy?
I will say, in like a span of a year, or a little bit longer, you went from like 0 to 100.
I had to, because I was like, I'm okay, but I'm like, it's like I can be way better. And I just applied myself for like a year solid.
And you took a lot of classes. I mean, I remember trying to schedule a range day with you or a training day, and you're like, I got a class that weekend. No, I got a class this weekend. I'm like, damn, dude, you're getting after it. But
shout out to my wife for putting up with all that crap.
Yeah,
she still does. So.
I think we have to have an episode with both the wives.
Yeah, we got to do both the wives.
Get their perspective.
These guys are idiots.
How much we drive them crazy.
But no, I like now that Joe's back and I can train with him a lot more. Like it's awesome because like I'm at the level of training where like I want to do more advanced stuff.
Yeah.
And you can't find that locally here, so I'm like, hey, buddy, oh pal,
Yeah. I think what people do like they want to. Like it's not that you're not ready for it, but the amount you can get out of it is quite there. If someone doesn't apply themselves, I'm like, I'm gonna put my time into people that want to train and are willing to train because that's my passion. Yeah. That's what I like doing. But some of them it's like, dude, if you're not gonna, it's kind of disrespectful to not put in the effort, the desire to like get to that level to want to train or take these comments or these critiques. I think that's one thing that kind of I saw or have seen a lot and continue to. Telling people like, well, I don't really want to keep doing that if you're not willing to look at the small stuff and like
meet my civilian homie Lee over here, and then
I think there's a level of professionalism that people approach it with that I see. I'm like, oh. That's kind of sick. There's not many people that are willing to do that. Yeah. Especially some people that don't want to take the criticism. You're just like,
I'm like,
all right, then, you gotta go fuck off your homies.
I just want to be better, so people can, bash all they want, but it's like, they see all like the flashy fast stuff on Instagram or whatever, but they don't see like the hours of dry fire I've had, the hours of training, the hours away from my family, the sacrifice. Like it takes a lot to just to be decent. Like and now it's just trying to just be better. Now that I've like put in the work to do all the fundamental stuff, the fundamentals is like it's life. That's where it should be. People just want to go fast, and they just end up sucking. You know what I mean?
Skip all this. You're like, you're just gonna keep doing the same stupid shit, and like you can't help you, and then or you just don't want to do it because you're like, oh well, you're not really taking it seriously. Yeah. There's different avenues people can approach it with. But I think going down that, it's like there's a lot of ego behind it. I think is one of the biggest things. Just like, God damn it.
What we experience a lot is there was a lot of older gentlemen that have served. And they never evolved, like, so their training stopped in the year they got out.
Yeah.
So they never evolved.
Like, bro, it's probably been 30 years, man. Like, we've gone way past it. Just like right now, like, in 15 years, I could talk to, young stud, I'm like, I'm not fucking with him. Yeah. That's what some guys I would see in our community, I'm like, I mean, you can talk shit on these dude guys, but like, they're gonna fuck you up. Yeah. Dude, like, they shoot more than you in the pipeline, they're in better shape, they have better gear, they're probably smarter, the standards are higher. It's like, I would say, I'm like, just because they're young or like things are new, it's like you don't understand like just how capable these motherfuckers are. It's like I would see guys running around like, holy fuck, like they would clean house, like doing toe to toe with any other guy. It's like, I think people forget that things mature and modernize and like processes are like refined. Yeah, I think that is one thing I've seen heavily. It's like the older generation. So
they're so set in stone, set in their ways. Like they're like, oh, look at all this fancy gear. I was like, but like you served, but I'm outperforming you.
Yeah,
like, it shouldn't.
What gives? Yeah. How? I kind of just like not even. Almost just avoid those people in general. I saw that a lot in North Carolina, like other ranges, a lot more like buds out there, if you will. And I was just like, I kind of be quiet and respectful, just like if I had to be like, please just stop. I would never say anything.
Like, oh, I was a Marine too.
I was like, oh my god.
What'd you do? Tell them. They're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I did see that heavily. I saw that like a little bit, the raid initiative. It's like,
our home range. I was like, oh. And that dude's like, footy, like carries a 1911. I'm like, dude, why?
Yeah, we've evolved, god damn it. Like, we've moved on. Like, why the fuck are you guys still stuck here? I did see that a lot. That's one thing I do. I don't know if I hate it, because...
We hate it because they think they're, like, better than us, but we're outperforming them. And they're like, how is that? How is this possible? That's what we got. Like, I don't know, dude. Like,
I think that's the difference between the level of professionalism that someone like Joe has. And, I want to, before we run out of time, I want to leave enough time. We can come back to other stuff if we run out. But I really want to ask you this question: is what you think the greatest threat is facing the United States currently or in the future, and that can be both on a bigger scale or on like a more personal scale, like as an individual.
Yeah. I talk about this a lot. I'm like, someone's gonna watch this and be like, Joe, you're a fucking dumbass. So I really do have a pretty great interest in like geopolitics, geography, and how things kind of work in different societies. I'm really into it. I love traveling, and I think right now we get so hyper focused on like the Ukraine and what's going on in Israel and Iran. It's like we get kind of brainwashed and like we get so much input that you're like you kind of think everything is happening all at once, and it detracts us from I think the true threat is like our culture is slowly kind of chipping away at each other and degrading, and like all these different movements. And I don't have a political stance in one way. I truly think that, and I think our culture is actually starting to realize that we've kind of been eating away at each other. And what makes us unique and it's such a badass place to be is our acceptance. And I think we're kind of losing that acceptance. And I think media maybe detracts from that and kind of focuses on these like other like existential, I guess, like threats and targets, and we kind of like laser focus based on your party or your alignment, and that only chips away at us more. It's like us being like a unified culture and being accepting and respectful to everyone else, no matter like your religious preference or whatever it is. Like it's all these things. Like who cares? And I think we get so focused on everyone caring about something, and rather just like chilling the hell out. I think honestly that's our biggest threat. And I'm very hyper focused in like the defense world of wanting to think about like conflict naturally. So I've kind of been trained to do and where my mind's at. But I think that's where a lot of us go, rather than just looking at the country as a whole and just being more accepting and like loving to each other, rather than just kind of like hyper aggressive, which is one thing I really do dislike about the gun community, is like this hyper aggressive culture that I feel like it doesn't include everybody, and it's kind of like, segregates people, does more harm than good in some of those ways, and that's, it's kind of twisted answer, very gray answer. I think we as a culture need to, stop fucking with each other, and I think we're realizing. I think this next election, I think we're getting more fed up with bullshit. I'm like, good. I think we need to be more inclusive and more just bros. Like, kind of just everyone just needs to calm down, please.
Have more discussions.
More podcasts.
I have friends that we disagree on issues politically. Who cares? We can sit down and discuss them, and we know that you disagree with me on this. I don't think that makes you a bad person. You don't inherently think I'm a bad person. We just happen to disagree on a thing, and I think we need more of that. It's interesting because the last guest, Mark, had a very similar answer in that the greatest threat isn't something external, it's internal.
Yeah.
We're destroying ourselves than anyone else could.
I also think that we are more inclusive than we think we are, just based off the media. It's just so, it makes everyone think that we hate each other. Like, when I walk around and go to the store or do whatever in my daily life, unless someone's, just twacked out, I don't really ever run into anyone that's negative. Very rarely. And I'm like, I don't think shit's as bad as it really is. The economy can do some work and do other things, but I think it's kind of like this mindset that's somehow kind of infecting and moving its way around. I'm like, where the hell is this coming from? Because I don't think shit's that bad. I really don't, in my daily life, walking down the street or go grabbing a beer, I'm like, no one's fucking with me. I don't have any issues. I'm like, why is everything we're reading and hearing and this conversation itself kind of displays you, what the fuck are we freaking out about?
And when you see violent conflict between two people that are strangers out in public, that rises to the top of the news cycle and the social media feeds. But you're right, you walk around, 9 out of 10 people, even more than that, you'd be able to strike up a conversation with them, have a nice time. You're going to be respectful and peaceful. But we elevate those stories and people think that's the norm. Now everyone's walking around on edge, ready.
Unnecessarily, and it even comes back to the whole, which I'm a fan of carrying guns, you just kind of see, why are we so worried? Yeah. Maybe if we're not worried, we have this state of readiness, but maybe that's the greatest threat, is where the hell that kind of mindset's coming from, which I don't have an answer to that. But I can kind of see that as being where is this, confusion, or where is this being injected, at what source, or or is it just a result of all these different media, social media platforms, the way we're kind of going? It's is that what's a byproduct, or I have no idea.
I think there's a difference between carrying that it's a very, very unlikely situation that you probably in your lifetime will never encounter the need to use a firearm for self-defense. But versus carrying it because you're constantly on edge.
I'm ready to clap that motherfucker at Ralph's, and I'm fuck, dude. I don't want to kill anybody right now. I'm just trying to get my kombucha and go home. And what the hell? Fuck,
I'm a silly goose who wants to make friends.
Yeah, I'm just trying to chill.
But if you are a crackhead and you try to stab me and my kids,
yeah, but I think it is. If you have that training, if you have that mindset and that training background, I think it's your responsibility. I do see it as my responsibility if I have taxpayer dollars paid for my training, and as so long as I remember that, then I'm going to be within legal bounds. Obviously, I can't have a gun on me right now, but I'm going to have my medical kit ready. I'm going to be trained. I know what to do. Because some people aren't, just due to not caring or just due to not having the opportunity. It's then you owe that to your fellow citizens to be that person that's going to be able to respond, or at least maybe save somebody or solve whatever problem's happening. I think that come into play when I do think about kind of replacing that hyper aggressive and hyper caring, I guess would be a better term. I just want to be that person to do that. Start soon.
Well, I think that's a great place to end it. We've got a minute left. Is there anything you want to plug? Social media? The guy who can't show his face.
I'm thankful to come on. This is just sick. I enjoyed that. I could have rambled on for hours. Thanks for having me. It was pretty sick to do this for the first time. Probably the only time I've ever been on a podcast.
You're coming
fuck
back.
yeah, I'll come back.
Yeah, we got to get
everyone's going to love it. You're going to be who is that? Bring him back.
Yeah. We need to get some tattoo talk. I'm curious to hear your side of things. But
yeah.
I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure.
The invite, I was fuck, all right, I'll do it. But
cool.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, Joe.
See you next week.
Awesome.